Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Indie Game Movement, the podcast that talks about the marketing and business of indie games. I'm Andrew Pappas. I'm going to be your host, and today we're going to be talking about designing community-driven worlds. Most games, they compete for attention, but very few earn emotional ownership. And why is it that some worlds become places people live in and not just visit? Well, today, this episode is going to explore how immersive environments can create identity, shared presence, and long-term community investment. But also, how design can build deeper trust with players and even ourselves, allowing us to rethink norms and rules in more meaningful and fulfilling ways. So that's what we're going to be talking about right here today on Indie Game Movement. Hey, everybody, and we're back. And today with us, I have Shawn Stock, otherwise known as Clown. And we'll get into, for those of you who aren't familiar, we'll get to in a moment. But Shawn, how's it going, buddy? And really appreciate you being on the show today.
I'm doing great. I'm in sunny Palm Springs, California. I'm blessed. More air through the lungs. Another day.
Love it.
Another day in the life. So can't complain about anything.
Awesome. Well, Shawn, I'm sure some people here on the show are probably like, wait, what do you mean by also known as Clown? And, let me, give a moment first to kind of introduce yourself in terms of maybe a little bit of your past, and then also kind of what you're doing now, your focus, and maybe provide just a little prelude in why we're even here today talking with you.
Basically, I like to tell people I'm a professional, musician, artist, if you will. I've spent pretty much what seems like my whole life indulging in the art of frequency. And I'm very blessed to play with what I feel are the best musicians in the world. I'm just very lucky to be in the company that I am in. And I'm in a very special community. And that community is adhered to a band called Slipknot, which I helped start. At this point, I'm sort of the oldest, but it's nice. Everybody's getting older too. So that's what I've been doing. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary pretty much over a year ago now. Could be 2 years. I don't even know. But so, to give you an idea, been doing Slipknot for pretty much over half of my natural born life. So, yeah. And I'm sort of what you call a Renaissance man. And what that means is I like to dabble in just about everything. So I write, I paint, I draw. I don't pretend like any of these things are good, by the way. I'm just interested. And as of recently, you were, saying more or less why we're here as well, is I have taken the engine, if you will, of Minecraft, the anomaly known as Minecraft, the enigma known as Minecraft, and I've applied it to my brain in an artistic way to reflect an imagination that I have using that engine. But first, I flip it on its back and I make it mine and mine only. And it's called Burn Earth. And Burn Earth has been born from something my mother started as I was a kid. And that's a whole other story. But I started with my mom's stuff. And then I realized that it was so out there that I had to start with my stuff. I had to start with what I understood. And that's when my mom's reality birthed my reality called Burn Earth. So Burn Earth is I guess it's an alternate reality because I spend so much time there. It's like a hub of reality because, you're still sitting in reality with things around you, but you are engaged in communication. There's a community. there's ethics, there's name calling,
Yeah.
there's a lot. So that's what I'm doing. I've spent my whole life in the organization known as Slip Hop, and I am now creating this solar system for what I would say would be my culture, and anybody who feels what it'll be. So I don't demand. I just and I don't expect. I just I've laid out the land, and you're either gonna belong there or you're not. It's that simple, because it's created in a way to prove to people to want to be there, that I want to be there with them, and that it can happen. So burn earth, that's what I'm doing, big and bad.
Yeah, right. I love hearing that. And folks, we're going to dive in a minute in terms of what does this all really mean and everything else. But first, before we do, yes, Shawn allowed us to get to know him a little bit more, but we want to get to know him a little bit more. And how we do that here, folks, on the show is through the Q Box round. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it's just a series of quick random questions we prepared here today for Shawn. So, hey, Shawn, are you ready for the Q Box round?
Yes, and I want everybody to know that I don't know these questions. I normally won't look to see, because I want to be fresh and real and true. And
well,
I want to keep it right there with my instinct with you, you know.
I love it.
So.
And I learned recently, sometimes the best responses you can come up with are actually on the fly, because your brain has to react to the intuitiveness and everything else. So, but not only that, it's way more authentic, and I love it. You're one of the few.
Well, I use it as instinct.
Yeah.
I was brought up with trout, and you can raise a trout in a nursery for years and feed it the same time. But if you throw it back into the stream, into the wild, it's under a minute. I think it's under 30 seconds. It reverts what I call, the lizard brain. It just goes right back to what it was meant to be, truthfully. So I try to use those instincts. I like to think it's too much of an angle.
Yeah, like it. Anyways, I love it. So let's get right in then. First question is, what was your childhood favorite game?
Is it have to be a digital
whatever
on TV?
You think, whatever works. It doesn't have to be digital. It could be anything.
At first, I will have to say all gaming, whether it's a puzzle, obviously the Rubik's Cube, any of these things, I've always had difficulty on, because my brain, I want to unimagine things that are just real. So gaming of all sorts. What the game I probably loved the most in my life probably was Galaga.
Yep.
It was, and I'm going to be honest, it was just a game that I personally could excel at. So I could literally take it to its length. And that's what, a lot of games I couldn't take very far. Anyway, so I would say Galaga had gotten the most of me.
Love it.
But it's different now, though,
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. Hey, preferences, times change. We change, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Next is, what is your biggest gaming pet peeve? Again, it could be anything.
Oh, easy. The people that created it. You like Blizzard?
Yep.
Oh, they don't want us to have fun. I'm sorry. So you create one of the greatest things ever, but then you obviously have to regulate like you have to. I get it. I understand the responsibility, but you know what? No fun is no fun. So keep changing it up where it's no fun. It's just no fun. Yeah. So that's my pet peeve is people set out to do their imagination, then reality sets. Uncle Sam needs his. Oh, yeah. Everything needs theirs, and then you're left with yours, and it might not be enough. So you have to unthink some things you didn't think, and you'll tell people, you don't understand. Well, it's like, I'm not supposed to understand. I'm the person that's on the other end. I want to have fun. So it's generally the people that have to be responsible, and they got to make hard decisions. So they're usually my pet peeve.
Yeah. I like that framing too, because it's like, you even said, it's like, I get it, but I'm also not necessarily the person to get it. And if that's imposing on my agency, the choices I make, the fun that I'm having, that kind of does say something. So I like that perspective.
And it can be sneaky. See, it's like,
Yeah.
I realize what you guys got to deal with, but that's not how you got me in here.
Yep.
And now that I'm in here, my brain's on fire, and now you're just taking all the fun out of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do fully, pardon me, respect, understand, even support, because it's a wild world out there.
Yeah.
And if you think you thought it, you haven't.
Yep.
And so I get it. I get it. But, I want to have fun. So there you go.
Love it. And last but not least in the staple here on the show is, I think we might know this one, but I'm still going to ask, what game are you playing now?
I wish I had time to play what I want. Do you want to know that, or you just want to know what I'm playing?
There's no wrong answer. You tell me.
Well, I am currently working Burn Earth. So basically I have a team, but I am on every day, night, more hours than you can imagine, because I don't sleep. And I'm on all the time. You got to be prepared for me to be in vanish mode and on, and just there checking it out and building. So what I do is I build the worlds. Like, I have an auction house that took 2.5 years to build because of economy, real life money and in-game currency. It's real stuff. And it's got to be fun. And the people, the community need to make the income, or the economy. They have to set that. And that's the real work to be done. So what I'm doing is I'm building the town myself around the auction house. The auction house is underground. I'm building the town above. And I just got completed an enormous racetrack that's unethical, just, like unethical, meaning like, instead of just running, I got cobwebs, and I'm making, you're in first place until you come around the corner and are stuck on 500 cobwebs and you just didn't know. So I'm building. It's not really work to me. It is playing. I'm not playing the game, even though I got to kill creepers and skeletons and these things. But I'm building, and I'm building with the community. I'm in a soft alpha zone, and there's a handful of people, and they get on every night, and we build and we talk, and it's total insanity. If I had time to devote to things, I would go between maybe 3 things. I'd go to anything Quake and Doom oriented, but nice. Only up to a period though. I really like the old voxels, then the newer graphics, and then I would also go to like Gary's Mod, or nice. or Goat Simulator, or Unreal Tournament, or if I have time, which I just haven't, I would play WoW. I would play World of Warcraft, and I'd be in there. But when I get in there, it's hard to get out of there. So
I know, I've had some friends that dropped out of college because of that.
Yeah, it is one of the greatest imaginations on the planet Earth, and the fact that it's out and it does what it does, it's just absolutely legendary. It's like, that is in reality, and it's just phenomenal what has been created. And you can't solve it in years, it's just it's just, so that's, but I really dedicated to the community. So for the last 4 years, I've been just straight Burn Earth, just before shows, after shows, days off, time off. Yeah. So right now it's Minecraft, but my spin, Burn Earth. And I say that because I've turned it on its back. I just made my own biomes and my own philosophies and all that stuff.
Such great stuff. And folks, we're going to get into that right in a second. But first I want to say, Shawn, thanks so much for sharing all that and everything else. And I love how you're so dedicated and focused on Werner, but yet you're like, when, if, whatever I have time, here's my lineup ready to go. Love that. Now, folks, like I said, we're going to get into the heart of this conversation here. And what I shared earlier in our intro, we're going to be talking about designing community-driven worlds. And, Shawn, to kick things off, you've built essentially a culture in music. And now it's something in a shared digital spaces. What would you think it is that makes people invest identity into something such as these spaces?
Trust. And I've proven my trust over and over and over. I'm someone you can trust. Let's start with the trust of Slipknot. We have never had anything to prove to anyone but ourselves. We know that first and foremost, and will not stray away from that. A community that wants to be your followers need to trust you. And they might not like what I've decided, but they know I've decided my answer because of my heart, my soul, my brain, my free will. And they like that. They might not like how the decision came out for them, but they're happy I'm able to decide. They're happy that it came from the heart, that it's not driven by lies or monetary aspects or all the things I could give to what's about. So I built trust. And when you get a trust, you get a community. Now let's talk about that community a little bit. Why did I choose to even get into it? I'll tell you why. I went to a private Catholic school for 12 years. Dress code, no earring, no long hair, no rock and roll shirts, belt, shirts tucked in, the norm.
Yep.
And they could discipline you pretty hardcore back then. Adults discipline kids under the age of 18. And I mean severely. I got this fly trying to bother me and get in my face. I wonder what that means.
You're okay. But I know it could be distracting.
Yeah, well, he's trying to say something. What I'm getting at is when I was brave enough to go to I'm an only child, so I don't have brothers and sisters getting me into the world. I had to test everything myself. So what I wanted to say is my very first show that I could have gone to alone was a Van Halen show on the Diver Down tour. And I was still a little too afraid to go by myself because I didn't know what it was going to be like. All I knew was like Jerry Lee Lewis and like Johnny Cash and John Cougar Mellencamp and Chris Christopherson, B.B. King, Ray Charles. My dad took me all these shows at the Civic Center, but I was with my parents. But I could see adults getting loose and I could put it together. So anyway, moving forward, when I finally went to my first show, it was a Kiss show. And they weren't in makeup, I don't think. I think it was Creatures of the Night, so they would have been. But anyway, long story short, when I got into that auditorium that day, I saw everybody from every high school. I saw people from colleges. I saw like the motorcycle guys. I saw like the jocks, if you will, and just all these different areas of whatever. And you know what? Everybody was getting along. All for frequency. I picked it up right away and I decided these are my people. This is the world I want to live in because everything gets thrown aside for one thing. And can you imagine a world without liking music?
Oh God.
I know people that don't require it. They're like, I can have it on or not. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have music or frequency. I can't even understand what would be happening. So I found my space and I trusted it because I saw this high school's guys who normally at a varsity game might chase me down. But here it's like, what's up, man?
Yeah.
And it's like, I was like, so that's what we provide is a trust as the band. You can count on us. We're not going to sell out. We're not going to go the way the man wants us to go, or I don't care what you think. I don't care what anyone thinks. I care about what I think. And that comes off. So Werner's is amazing because about 6 years ago, I decided I wasn't going to do anything for anybody but my people. Who are my people? My people are just people that work hard, live in life's areas, social scenes, divorce. There's gender issues, there's political issues, there's all these things, you know? And it's a hard world out there. So I try to build these things where we can trust each other and be there. So I decided, instead of letting the outside business world use me to make money by getting my people or the people I'm with, let's just call it the culture. I'm not doing that no more. I'm going to make movies for my culture. They're going to be invited and everybody else is going to pay the price. If they don't pay the price, it means they're in the culture. But I'm no longer like extending my art brain and my business brain to allow anybody to make a dollar in a way that isn't devoted to the culture. So this is what I do. So I'm sucking in on burners to make a platform that you can believe in, that you can get into. I know this could sound weird, but I don't think it's a weird concept, but think about it. I'm on at 2 a.m. and somebody in the culture, I don't know if they're a man or a woman. I don't know if they're young or older. I don't know if I know them or not, but they're in there going, hey, does anybody got a pickaxe? And then I just TP to them. And I'm like, what's up? And they're like, what's up, clown? And I give them a pickaxe. They're like, you want to see my build? And I roll around. I look at their build. I'm like, hey, you need anything? They're like, no, we play the game, but I could use some netherite for the floor. I'm like, you want me to put it in? They're like, that'd be cool. So I put the netherite in. Then the kids or whoever, they're like, man, it must be the most expensive floor in Werner. And the point is like, for them, I get to be something maybe I didn't achieve in life. And what that was is I've never been in a place where someone that I would have just been blown away. And I'm not trying to say that I'm someone that anyone needs to meet. I have no ego, believe me. But what I'm saying is just randomly, there I am. You're possibly playing because you're in the culture. And then the head, not the oldest, one of the heads of the culture, the old guy that started it just shows up. And it's like, what's up? And I'm 56, so I don't know who you are. And I might as well be acting like I'm young, or I don't know, but I'm there like, what's up? You need a pickaxe?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, man, I do. And then they're like, then they come over and help me build my rail. So that can only happen because of trust. But what I'm trying to do is prove to you in a world of non-proving that hope and life is circumstantial randomness. The minute you try to control, you got problems. Control is the problem.
Yeah.
I'm trying to prove you could be doing your own thing and your wildest idea just happens right in front of you.
Yeah.
You're like, what? And you're just thinking to yourself, is this happening? And I'm like, yes, I'm making sure this is happening because this world is dismal.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna prove to you that your life is big and there's hope behind every street. And you'll find more of me out there if you're looking, because they're looking. Don't get bogged down. And that's why I told you my general pet peeve is the societies that suck you in.
Yeah, that control.
And then it's a dead faced lie.
Yeah.
You get all the way in with hope and you're like, damn, this is just not what I thought. Burn Earth is based off a glitch. Everything's a glitch. It's just like, I'm here to watch you unfold it. I'll call my developers and go, they're duplicating. It's awesome. Go check this guy out. He's duplicating rails by the millions. and we'll
Absolutely love
laugh and
this.
we'll have fun. We'll shut it down because we have to because of the economy, but we won't kick him out. We might not even give him a warning. It'll just be like, hey man, I got into this for you to turn this up. And I want you to see I'm not gonna tear it down all the way. I'm gonna let you have some fun.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point here. But first, about like that glitch, right? And we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to call it first, like what you led in with. I think is so important, meaningful because I was literally on a call earlier today with some of the work I do, and one of the key focuses that we called out is like trust. Right, trust is so important, and in any capacity, not just games, but whatever. But then when you kept going on, it wasn't such. Yes, trust and establishing that with others, so important, but also establishing trust with yourself too. Going out there doing your thing, and I think with a lot of indie dev studios and out there too, sometimes we feel constrained about the culture that's around us, right, and everything else, like you were saying, even with your pet peeve, right. But ultimately, what I thought was so important too is regardless of what side, that trust with yourself or the trust with others, that ultimately that carries over to respect, and you're getting respect to yourself, right, and you're getting respect with others, and I just love that kind of journey you provided us, because ultimately that leads us to something that's fulfilling, regardless of what we're creating and stuff, and that's exactly why we're here and talking about it. Now, to dive back in, you were sharing about that glitch, and this is something I was kind of curious too. In these spaces, this new culture that you're essentially creating, in Verner, how does like unpredictability inside this like shared world deepen emotional attachment, or what have you seen from your experience?
I think that's a fantastic question because there's so many reasons I'm doing what I'm doing, but I'm going to tell you the main reason. And I'll say this, you'll get me on another subject and we're like, this is the main reason. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of main reasons, and they're all in the 0.05%. There could be 100 of them.
Yeah.
But they're in the micro percent, which makes them the atom, the most important, the cell division, the cell division. You got to micromanage before you can just go out and do whatever. Okay. As a kid, remember, I'm 56. I was there when Atari hit Christmas. You know what I'm saying? I lost one of my best friends from being naturalists, where we were out in the woods, finding old chainsaws that farmers just go dump in the woods, and we're carrying them back home thinking we're gonna rebuild it and use it for a go-kart. Then we learned that it's
so
broke.
Well to that.
Yeah. So I lost my best friend to he accidentally fell into a creek. So we're like, go back to the house and get warm. And when we got back, he hadn't even changed his clothes, and he was sitting on his legs, and he was in, and he's been in ever since. And so remember, I've been there from the very first stimuli and the whole bridge of tech. But let me tell you, I would sneak out of lunch and run with kids up to a grocery store. And we would have our quarters, and we would play quarter arcade games during lunch. And of course, Donkey Kong was one of them.
Yep.
Now, when Donkey Kong got moving on by level 3, level 4, things start speeding up, music starts getting a little crazy. You can jump off the screen. Do you know this?
No, I
so
didn't.
In the arcade game, Donkey Kong, right? You know Donkey Kong?
Yep.
The game. Okay, so in the arcade game, I think you can do it on any level, but you don't really learn it until like 3. The barrels are rolling down the scaffolding units, and the bars, and you're up 3, and they're going fast. And maybe if you don't have the rhythm, you jump off the shit, pardon my language, you jump off of it into the space, okay? And you stand there. You don't fall. You don't do anything. You're glitched out. You're like, the developers didn't think anyone was going to smart enough to, like, what happens if I jump into space? Will the barrel get me? Nope, it doesn't. I'll just hang out here until I can move. So the glitch, the inconsistency, the mistake, the failure, the, oh my God, we didn't get that. That's me. That's what Slipknot is. That's who I am. I live for the anomaly. I live to exploit the any and in music we call them happy accidents. You're jamming, some bird comes in, makes a sound, it's on beat. You're like, oh my God, that stays in the recording. It does not go anywhere, right into the song. So if I purposely build everything glitchy because it's personal,
Yeah.
you got drawn in by the society. You know what you're doing. You got to go do this, then you get this. And you're going to be like, what else do I get to do? Well, when you're in my world, I got a little bit of artistic schizophrenia. So I turn everything on its back. Like you think you know it's okay. For instance, oceans in Minecraft, right? They're useless, useless. They basically are a cover up of not having too much land block. So it's like, think about it. You just fly over oceans. You're like, I'm not doing things here, not going down here. So you know what I did? I made oceans rare, rare. I made them rare. Kids are the fan of the culture. You know, they're like, anybody seen an ocean? They got to work for it. That's a glitch. That's a glitch to them. It's not a tech glitch, but it's a glitch in their matrix of the simulation of what they're used to.
Yep.
I immediately break their association with anything because they're like, what's happening? And it's like everything that should happen. I'm like, you guys notice it never rains here? They're like, why doesn't it rain? I'm like, I simply don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the rain. There's no purpose. I don't like the oceans. I don't like the bats. The bats, get out of here. But I let the bats come back because some of the culture liked the bats. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make the bats tameable. You're going to be able to get a lead and grab this little dude. But that's going to be $1,000 and 2 weeks of coding because, you know, Minecraft makes it interestingly hard to do anything differently, which they should. I understand. But I like to turn it on its back. So just to clarify what you said, I believe that when I hide the anomaly and you stumble upon it, it's not actually stumbling. It's your curiosity. You're looking for something. Why are you doing this when you know you got to kill this boss? You're hoping. You're out there hoping. There's just something different than reality. When you're in Clown's world, I heard there's a Sasquatch walking around, but that's just cryptid conspiracy. You'd have to go to the Discord to get in that.
Yep.
But apparently there's some Sasquatch families rolling around Werner. I don't know. I don't believe in them personally, but actually I do. But I think the personalness comes from the fact that you stop dead in your tracks and go, I was looking and I found.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's different. This is different. That's personal. You're like, I wanted something and I found it because he was thinking it too.
Yeah.
And that's personal. And that's real. That's better than money. That's better than anything really, because you're going through this journey alone. You come in alone, you go through it alone. You got to make decisions. There's barely any good teachers anymore. I hate to say it. I don't know how many good parents there are. And parents and teachers, you know, your parent is your first teacher. And this world's in a big, bad place real quick. So I like to be the thing that gives you what maybe I wanted. I wanted to get on a game and, you know, I wanted to get on Quake and just have Trent Reznor show up and be like, what's up? I'm just death matching with everyone. Be like, whoa, man, I love your music. This is cool. You're pretty good, whatever. The internet wasn't geared that way back then for that. I mean, you were lucky if you could stay online 10 minutes without a modem crapping out. And so hopefully I made sense with that, but I literally try to keep you in mind when I'm doing everything I'm doing. And when I talk to my team, I'm always like,
when they find this out, when they do this, and my developing team was like, this guy's whatever. As time went on, they're like, you're right. And I'm like, I'm not right. I'm just paying attention.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful. And everybody and everything lets me down. But Slipknot will never let you down. We will never let you down. I mean, maybe one day if we have to retire, you might be upset or something, but we're not purposely going to. Our mistakes don't even feel like it hurts our culture because everybody's allowed to make mistakes. So anyway, I work very hard to make it personal and have you look at me and go, clown, I had no idea and it did. And wow, thanks. And it's because I want that. I want that hopeful circumstance. And you know what? When you find it, that becomes my hopeful circumstance. You end up giving me what I'm trying to find, and then I find it with us. And it's such a beautiful thing.
I absolutely.
Anyway,
that's so good.
Yeah, so there it is. It's a little hard to explain. Sometimes I over-explain myself or repeat myself, but in my brain, I'm like trying to deal with a net of something that's not, well, what I think is so simple. We're talking about human lives, brains, the biggest muscle.
There's so many things interconnected.
Yeah, that's that.
I love it. And when you're talking about that aspect of unpredictability, I think one of the things that I recognize too is everything that you just shared right there is really calling out to how can we stand out? What and it's intentional, or regardless of and folks, you too, with your experiences, you might not necessarily know right off the bat how to articulate that. But if you're trusting yourself and you're trusting others and everything else, and establishing that, you're going to be able to call those things out. Whether you can say it clearly or not, you'll still be able to call those out in those experiences. And the key ones that I picked up right away, you're like, dude, we're not going to have oceans. And people are going to be like, wait, what? And they're looking for that. And then the rain. And then all these other little elements where people are like, it's funny because we've talked here before on the show about expectations. How do you set expectations? But you could also use that in a different way. How do you go against those expectations in a meaningful way? And that meaningful, what you just described, was like, this is how we can deepen this shared world of experience. This is how we can form attachment with people because they're going to remember that crap. And then you talked about Sasquatches, like in the game. You're like, all right, whatever. I don't know, but I do, but I don't. But there you go. All these things that we're talking about that Shawn just shared with us are different types of memorable moments. And these are really important things when we're looking at like how to design game spaces and stuff. And love that you share that because there's so many different ways to go about it.
Let me give you an exercise because I think it's important for young minds and artists alike and young entrepreneurs, regardless of what your outcome is. Support a family by making money off a vision. Here's one that I can give everyone that's absolutely true and they don't want you to have it. When I say they, I say anyone who's gotten above the hurdle and is in the route of moving forward and keeping you out of the race. Remember, not everybody can start on first string. Not everybody can get out on the field, but everyone's interested.
Yep.
And how do we know? How do we know that Johnny over here in third string isn't the one that's going to win the big game? We didn't even try his energy. We didn't even take a chance. So let me give you what I love more than anything. Let's say, take a URL, for example. A URL to me is the most frustrating thing in the world because I believe that I come up with something original in my head and I'm like, let's see if we can own it. And I got to own all five. I got to own the .com, the .com, the .net, the .org, the .io, and the .ai. I got to have all five or I'm out. Why? Because that could be the potential of the world in the future. I'm trying to think about where will .ai be in 10 years? I don't know. So I'm going to put a claim in it now with belief. So the URL business is really frustrating to the likes of me. Let's say I have something in Verner that is a staple idea where I should have the .com because people are going to exploit it. I don't care if they exploit it, make money off it. I'm saying exploit it like I have to have the .com because I got to be able to give the lore of it. I got to give the absolute true facts and can't have a second company who just loves it, own it,
right,
and give people misdirection.
So here's what I love. Let's say the word was mirror, mirror. Let's go see if we can own that. Of course, that's taken. There's nothing more deflating than having what you believe is an original idea and then it's just taken from you, right? You're just like, I can't freaking believe it. The best exercise is to attack that right then and there. Right then and there. You knew in your heart you were never getting mirror. That's how you got to that word to begin with. You pulled that out of reality. It's like a buzzword. You just, how many times you actually say mirror in your life? I don't know.
Yeah.
60, so like whatever. So you think, oh, you should have owned it. Here's the real work. What can you put before it? What can you put after it? How can you change the lettering? What can you do for you, for your vision? What, are you going to let those devs, those games, those people, everyone else who had to do the exact same thing, you don't think they didn't have those problems, those hurdles? So my advice would be every time you come to a stop sign, you just take it down. Well, let's not use a stop sign because that's very legal. But let's just say there's a rock and you're making a motorcycle path for a go-kart or a motorcycle. There's a big old rock. You like the rock. You know what? You don't have to move the rock.
Yeah.
You can just make the path go around it and the rock will still be there.
It becomes part of the experience.
So mirror.com will always be gone from your potential, but you can move around it. It can still be the big badass mirror staple in the road that you couldn't have. Okay. But when you work around it and it comes true, you will not convince yourself, you will allow yourself to understand that within yourself, you created something better. Not better, not worse, something better for what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not better than mirror. It's not worse than mirror. You have, because of work and because of mirror, had to go deep and break everything they got on you here. And then you find it. And when you find it and you realize I got the .com, the .net, the .org, the .io, and the .ai, do you see the understanding of like the self-fulfillingness?
Yeah.
No one was really keeping you from your ideas, but you. You're like, oh, this game, they're just like what I want.
We gate ourselves.
Then you sit at dinner with your wife and complain when we got to be playing with the kids. See what I'm saying? Like, life's a big trick, man. It's just opposite. Thank people for stopping you. Go, thank you.
Right.
You own mirror. That's yesterday's news. You own mirror. Fine. Good for you. Go deal with that. I'm going to get the next thing. And guess what? It has never been in reality.
Yeah.
And you can't have it. So it's just work, my friend, so that's an exercise with what you were saying. You get there. I've gotten there by making things personal and being able to be the factor of hope. Okay. I've been able to get there because I've had to tear down these walls that have been put up. Think about school. They were either grooming your mind because you were getting along and really smart, and they were going to make sure you got in college to go get in that CEO position one day. Or they're like, haha, you're the class clown, you got a big mouth, we're going to give up on you, and you're just going to change tires. Yeah. Hey, what's wrong with changing tires?
Yeah.
I might own the freaking place that changes the tires, brother. Don't this world's set all of us in the wrong direction, and you got to fight for yourself.
So many good things there, and so much to unpack. But the things that I do want to unpack, especially with that example you're sharing with the URLs. I mean, ultimately, if I were to really distill this, everything you were sharing, it basically is coming down to creation through limitations. Again, with your example with the motorcycle, right? Hey, I want mirror, but I can't get it. So what am I going to do to work around it? What am I going to do around that rock? Do I make the court? And that related really well with me. I'm big into mountain biking. And I'm like, oh man, I could go around it. I could go on top of it. There could be a skiddy or ramp going
Yeah.
up it. Like
Yeah,
so
you
many
go on
options,
it.
right?
You go right through it.
And-
you can invent stuff going off of it. Yes.
And let's
Go
relate
ahead.
this directly to some game terms. And I've used this one so many times, and I love using it. BioShock, Ken Levine. Big part of the whole purpose in game design for BioShock was creation through limitation. And what did it do? Guess what? This game, this experience is all underwater. So what can you do? Well, let's put those constraints in. Again, more limitations. And here we are now talking about this experience. Me personally, like bringing this up so many times because of through that constraint, through that limitations that you just called out it really well. And going back to that URL example, you're like, oh, add stuff, make it look different, do this, that, whatever. And those actions, we could take those and apply it into like different things like our projects we're making and everything else. What is that really signaling? That's signaling, I think something not necessarily, like you said, not necessarily like better, but what it's doing is it's defining what is that thing that you want, that you're striving for. But it's also doing so by declaring intent, meaning, and purpose behind those things. So it's like, okay, mirror, but what is mirror? But if you're adding all those extra things and attributes that define what that is, now you're kind of shaping what that culture, what that experience is, setting those expectations in a way that, again, going back to what we kind of this theme about that trust, about that respect, and how you're allowing that to come into something more fulfilling, not just for you, but how fulfilling for your tribe, your culture that you're creating these experiences for. And I absolutely love that because there's so many different ways that we could look at these things too, but they're all doing the same thing, right? Creating something that we believe in, that we strive to have other players to, and by believing in ourselves, we can make that happen.
Well, and don't forget, for the most part, we believe that everyone's human.
Yeah.
So you're not up against anything but yourself.
Yeah, you're your own worst enemy. Or
you know,
in a way,
it's not
on the negative
it's
side.
not. Yeah, it's not Bob's fault that he's successful, and he might be closing the gate on us, but it might be because he has to.
Yeah.
You're going to have these hurdles of mirror the whole way, all the way to death. You're going to have hurdles. You just keep taking them on. That's why we do the race. We openly admit, yeah, I'll run a straight line and jump over this crap. You know, I mean, hurdles are nothing. Walls are nothing. If it went up, it can come down. Stop means go. Go means stop. I had a police officer tell me once, pulled me over on a yellow light. You know,
Been there.
the manual, I'm telling you, I read this right out of the manual. And it can be wrong, but it says red means stop, greens go. And in the manual that I read, at least I guess I remember, said proceed with caution.
Yeah.
Well, when the police officer pulled me over, he goes, do you know why I pulled you over? And I was like, more or less, I was like, was it because I was proceeding with caution through the yellow light? And he literally told me, he's like, it doesn't mean that. It means stop. And he didn't give me a ticket because I was polite, but I wanted to look at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to look at that. You know what? That was someone letting me know there was a danger in proceeding with caution. So I should continue my life with just yellow means stop. Because then you take out any ability of yellow being cautious.
Yeah.
So what does that have to do? I'm just letting you know that we are in a very complex, I don't know, some call it a simulation, you call whatever you will, but it's something. It's something. Otherwise, what is it? It's definitely something. But just know all rules can be broke. And the way they be broke is be moral and be lawful. Be moral because you don't want guilt and shame in your own soul. And be lawful because laws are good. They build restraints around self-harm. Why do you want to throw your life away over a moment of something?
Yeah.
So if you can be moral and lawful, you can break rules, the rules that are meant to be broken. And that is, you may own mirror, but I'm going to own mirrors.
Yep.
And then the people that own mirror are like, Bob, get in here. Why didn't we buy mirrors? It seems so obvious we should have got the plural. I don't know. We just, our mirror can't even think in plural. get, just accelerate the brain all the way and take this place on as much as you can. And there are no doors. Everybody says the doors are closed. Last time I remember, they open, they close, they lock.
Yeah.
You can even detach the door from its frame. You can take the door frame from the wall.
So many different ways to approach things. And, one thing I'll add to what you just said about, the example with being pulled over in the yellow light. You said it's about what you also did there too, is you understood what the rules were first. And then, right? And then you started questioning what the rules were once you had additional clarity, insight, whatever. And the reason I'm only calling that out, because sometimes we go to break rules, and I think there can be a caveat to that, and a key thing there. And what you demonstrated perfectly in that example is, but I at least understood what the rules were first, and then I could, and it's simple, right? We're talking green, green, yellow, red, basic things. But through that understanding, then you could better apply either what do you adhere to or what can you break. And that allows, and through those restraints and everything else that we talked about earlier, that allows you that level of control in a different, meaningful way, not in a, like, I deliberately have to be control. And it goes back to everything else we were saying.
Let's say that the manual did say proceed with caution.
Okay. Yep.
What I did was I took his advice as a male, as a father potentially, as a teacher, as an authority, and I looked at his thing, and he's like, he didn't even give it a chance. He's like, no, it does not mean that. It means stop. And I was like, why would it ever mean stop? So I went through in my brain, and I realized that this human being had seen a lot of people that proceeded with caution, and the caution ended up biting them in a car wreck. Someone didn't see someone coming through a yellow line, boom, car wreck. This police officer most definitely probably saw some people pass and some gnarly things. And he's like, no,
right.
Bro.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's not this, it's this. I could have fought him. I could have argued, but I saw someone who abides by rule enforcement breaking a rule.
Exactly. That's exactly what was happening. Yep.
But he ended up, I'm now how many years into my life stopping at the yellow lights.
Yep.
And who knows what that's done for me. So yes. That's yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, I know we're coming on time here. So one more question. And this is really for essentially everybody listening too. I mean, all this is obviously, but I'm curious, how should creators, whether they're indie or not, really think about, let's say, stewardship, these communal spaces, everything else that they're creating in whatever capacity? How does that stand up against, let's say, ownership when we're building these worlds? And it kind of big, loaded question, but how should we think about these things, these spaces that we're creating in those terms?
You can't. This is going to be really rough for everyone to hear. But I think if you can work through this, you'll have more of a chance for yourself. Because we all want something it's never going to be. Okay? Period. I'm going to tell you right now.
Nothing's perfect, but we still try.
So the first thing you need to do is get a piece of paper and write out the word dream. And then you need to burn that piece of paper and never say that word again. Never believe in the word dream or dreams. Let me tell you why. Because it is exactly what it is. It's a word made by it, whatever this is. It was a word to help you through not succeeding in your imagination. Oh, those are just dreams. You had a dream of being a big pop singer. Get back into reality and get a job. If you want to be a big pop singer and follow your dream, get a job. So the word dream is exactly what it is. It's just a word to let you know there are things you can't have. I used to believe in that word. And for a very small moment, I thought dreams were happening. I was like, oh my God. I thought levitation was going to happen. Time travel. I was going to read your brain. I was going to self-heal. You know, we were going to teleport. Like dreams. It was like, what? Now, at the end of it, it's a business. It was always a business. We were let in because of a business. We would have been let out if the business wasn't working. And now that we are bigger than ever, it's big business. And all the termites come out, all the roaches. All they want is the money because we're big business and they can get some. Okay? I'm not being negative. What I'm telling you is all of that has nothing to do with the word dream. All of that will crush that. Crush it. And then you end up giving up. And then people around you, and then it just starts. All the negativity and drama and toxicity because of the words failure and the words dreams, they all become nightmares. That word seems to fit better than the word dream. What I'm here to tell you is when I get on stage, it's up to me to love it. It's not up to the 60, 90, 100,000 people that are out there to make me love it. It's not up to the guys who set up my equipment or the lights or the sound or the wardrobe we're wearing. Literally, it is up to me to walk out there and seal the deal for me and not leave afterwards and go, see, I told all you. No. It has nothing to do. Everybody's got their job. Everybody has their job. I tell people my favorite person in rock and roll is the not very elderly, but sort of the elderly man or woman who works for the union at the arena, and they place them on the big garage door that the band will walk down the hallway through the garage door right up on the stage. And then when the show starts, the garage door goes down. They always have a person there sitting in a chair. Those people have the most important job. They see everything. They see everyone. They see people coming and going. If the police needed to know something, they would have the answer. They would have the timestamp, the face identification, the reasoning. But you know what they do for me? I'm walking for the dressing room. I'm going to my dream. And this person looks at me and just goes like this. You wear a mask. And I'm humbled. Like I think I'm something I'm not. You know, what did I think? I was a god, a rock star. That's my favorite. I'm a rock star. Yeah, okay. I couldn't be further from that bullshit part of my words than anything. So what I do is I allow myself to believe in bigger and better things that feel good, that are non-tangible at the moment. They're in my subconscious. And then I say, nope, I'm going to bring this out here in consciousness. I'm going to make it tangible. You're going to be able to touch it. And then I get rid of that word dream and I just start the process. And I realize the whole ability to get anything I want in this world is in front of me. And I just got to put the best foot forward and dedication. And all that means is that I think the word dream, you believe in it for a minute, and then when reality gets real hard where you need to dig the most, and that's when you only do for you and you stop doing for everyone. That's when you push through that BS dream stuff and you start going, whoa, my life experience, my own reality, I feel different. I'm different in reality. There's no dream state. These are all things that deter us away from being upset for not getting something we can think. The word failure, take it out of the dictionary. Why would you ever teach anybody the word failure? I guess we can use it in Chernobyl. There was failure there,
Yes.
but not with someone trying to make a game.
Right.
No, get up and build what you didn't do. You can do this twice. You can do this 3 times. You don't let this world. So I know that sounds pessimistic, but from someone who believed in it all the way couldn't believe I was going to get a record deal. I was going to go on Ozfest. And I did all those things, and they were amazing because I made them amazing. Okay, I did. I made sure I paid attention. I made sure I was in the zone. I made sure I didn't do things I wasn't supposed to. Me, living life, being true to myself, developing a trust for myself, developing a trust for those around me, building on trust, and never letting anything that is, as long as it's not moral or lawful, never letting anything else be a deterrent from me living my life. And the word dream was never given to me until I started convincing myself I might want something I might not get. And that's not the way to go about things.
Absolutely. Wow. So well
I know
said.
I know that's long. And I repeated myself a couple of times. But again, I was in the net, and there's so many attributes that adhere to that. And I don't want anyone to think that I'm raining on their parade for being optimistic about something in their imagination. I'm right there with you. But it's your imagination. It's your soul. It's not their word dream that will set in to help you go, it was just a dream. Dreams don't exist. Screw that.
Oh, so well said. And you know what?
Thank you.
The one thing I'm going to call out real quick on that, and I love this line. I'm going to slightly paraphrase this. It's up to you to love it. That's what stood out to me, and that's clearly that defining factor for you in everything you shared. So, wow, Shawn, I really can't thank you enough for being here today. It has been such an honor and pleasure. And man, these insights and stuff, like it meant a lot to me, and I hope you listening too really take it for what it is, as it means to you. It's not saying and everything else. There's just so much here I think we can learn from from these different perspectives and ways. Just I don't know. I'm gonna stop because I will ramble, but again, it's appreciated.
No, I appreciate you, and just know I'm appreciative of your time. Here's one of these situations. In this world, maybe we're taught that I'm a celebrity, maybe because of what I'm just speaking loosely here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because of what we're taught, maybe everybody on the phone feels like my time is more important because I've reached this title. No, you have children. My children are all grown and out of the house. You still have an inquisitive little mind. I would say your life's pretty important. So I want to take the time to say, hey, thank you for thanking me, but hey, thank you for taking time in your day. You didn't have to talk to the clown. You didn't have to. So that's what people don't understand. Everything's like this weird prerequisite of thinking, and I'm your guy to let you know we'll just break it all, and we'll have fun doing it, and I'll be there, and you'll introduce you to me. And I'm along for the ride. So what that means is, let me know the next time you want to do this. We'll just keep it going for life. We'll just keep building on this or not, or whatever. But thank you for your time, and thanks for everybody listening. And everyone, check out Burn Earth if you can. It's becoming a really beautiful community. I want to be involved in behavioral health and mental health. I'm not a doctor, but I know what games are like, and I try to be there and uplift people's spirits, and we do it by building wonderful buildings with weird insights that weren't there the day before. So come join us on Burn Earth. You'll see the cloud, and we can talk turkey.
Yeah. Again, thank you. And folks, any links or anything else, we'll throw those in the show notes. But yes, check out Burn Earth. Quite an experience. Again, Shawn, thanks a ton, man. It's been great.
Thank you. Be safe out there. Have fun, and much appreciated. We'll see you all later.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for listening to another episode of Indie Game Movement. I'm Andrew Pappas, your host, and the show's producer is Mustafa Price. Show notes for this episode can be found by visiting rengenmarketing.com, the number episode of the show. Rengen Marketing is a consulting marketing company that helps indie devs with their marketing efforts. Whether you need guidance with your game's marketing strategy or could use a free marketing plan template, then please visit www.rengenmarketing.com and take action. A special thanks to Dakota Saw for Season 2's opening theme and Melissa Gellis for the new logo design. And as always, thanks for being such great listeners, and we'll see you next time on Indie Game Movement.